do it, and she
Oh,
hit a nerve. I could feel the nerve. Oh, it's being live streamed. We don't want to talk about that here now.
Well, sorry about that. I
well, I
have,
hope you feel better soon.
Thank you.
Mm. Shabbat shalom, Avi.
Are we supposed to be hearing what they're saying on Temple screen? I don't hear anything.
I don't think they did it yet,
Oh, okay.
because I don't hear anything either.
Mm-mm.
Okay, Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
We've got a nice number of people up there. Please turn off your microphones.
Good Shabbos, everyone. Let's start with just some yai lai lies together, yes? Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Just yai lai lai. Online, you too. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai. That's wonderful. Let's join in Hine Matov, how good it is to be together. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov, shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
I would like to introduce you to our soloist this evening, Raymond Zachary, and tell you a little bit about him. He's a classically trained countertenor, currently located in Orange County. There's always a love of music and Jewish text in his heart. So becoming a synagogue soloist was a natural fit. He attended the American Jewish University as a Jewish studies major and has served as a synagogue soloist for several years, having the opportunity to sing with some of the most prestigious names in cantorial music. Raymond has sung on more than 20 bimas and in congregations such as Temple Bat Yam, Congregation Ner Tamid of South Bay, and the Stephen S. Wise Temple in LA, just to name a few. Raymond has also done extensive concert work within the Jewish community, and you can see him performing now at Disneyland with the klezmer band Mostly Kosher. In addition, Raymond has been a religious school teacher for a number of years, passing on the traditions of the Jewish people for the next generation. And outside of synagogue life, Raymond is an award-winning musical theater actor and has performed in numerous symphonic as well as theatrical productions. If he's not in shul, you can most likely find him on stage or in the kitchen whipping up some hugs and knishes. So we're going to continue with Psalm 96, which you can find on page 131 in the fat books and 13 in the thin books.
And I just want to stress, even if you don't know the text that's in front of you, yai lai lai along. It is Shabbos, and it's a wonderful tradition to bring in Shabbat with some Zmiros and some Tehillim, some fun songs, and just a sense of community. So yai lai lai along with us. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim nifleotav, ki gadol Adonai, u'mehu ma'al me'od, norahu al kol Elohim, ki kol Elohim elilim, v'Adonai shamayim asa, עוז והדר לפניו, עוז ותפארת במקדשו, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. All right, there's 2 claps, get ready. Yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam umelo, yiram hayam, yiram hayam, yiram hayam umelo, yelo sadai bechol asher bo, az yiranenu kol atzei ya'ar, lifnei Adonai kiva kiva, lishpot haaretz, yishpot iver betzedek, ve'almim be'emunato.
And I also want to reintroduce everyone to Sergio Leyva, our wonderful accompanist. You may recognize him from the High Holidays. He has just become a father again.
Mazel tov.
His child was born yesterday, his second child. So,
And he still came to shul.
yes. And he's not even Jewish, and he came. So I'm going to call up Lori Magnus to light our candles, which is on page 120 and page 2, depending on the size of your siddur.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
The joys of air conditioning.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu להדליק נר, להדליק נר של שבת. אמן.
יש כך.
I like that. Thank you.
Raymond is going to lead us in the Kiddush.
ויהי ערב, ויהי בוקר יום השישי, ויחולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי וקדש אותו, כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, בורא פרי הגפן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו, ושבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי באנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Oh, Vintage Wednesday. Lovely.
It's grape juice. Yeah.
A little warning next time.
At least it's not Manischewitz.
Okay.
So in this week's Torah portion, Vayetze, Jacob flees his home because his brother Esau has threatened to kill him. He pauses for the night and dreams of a ladder with angels going up and coming down. When he awakens, he exclaims, "Truly God was in this place, and I did not know." What is it that he did not know? David Elcott explains, two Hasidic masters provide contrary yet equally remarkable insight for us. Each responds to Jacob's confusion over God's presence. One explains the place where God was found was in the I, the self of Jacob. Consumed with anger, fear, and deceit, Jacob suddenly becomes aware of the potential divinity within himself, the place where God can reside. The second intuits the opposite. At the very moment that Jacob becomes aware of God's presence, he exclaims, "It is I, the self, that I do not know." Only when I am not filled with myself, when I empty myself of ego and self-serving explanations that encrust me, then can I truly experience God's presence. Both of these explanations remind us how ever-present God can be and how easy it is to say, "But I did not know." Let us welcome the Sabbath bride, God's lovely companion, with Lecha Dodi, page 138 and page 20.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, yishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, שם ותפארת ונתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. We're going to go to verse 9 as we rise to welcome the Shabbat bride and we face the doorways. בואי ושלום העטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצורה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Please be seated.
So Rabbi Elliot Kukla offers another take on Jacob's discovery as he awakens. It is the moment when Jacob wakes to an ordinary day in a bleak desert that is most significant. Aha, Jacob says in this week's Torah portion, as he opens his eyes and sees a barren patch of rocks. The Eternal One is in this place, and I did not know it. What is he seeing now that he missed before? The wilderness where Jacob lay dreaming has always been filled with the presence of God, the power and the potential for change that exists in every place. Yet ironically, Jacob only wakes up in the fullest sense of the word in his sleep. Jacob's dream startles him into awareness, and he's able to see the potential of his surroundings. Jacob responds to this new awareness with fear. In the next verse we read, he was afraid, and he said, how awesome or how terrible is this place? There is no other than the house of God and the gate of heaven. I mean, this is no other than the house of God and the gate of heaven. It might seem strange to respond to the divine presence with terror, but I understand what it feels like to be scared of waking. It's always easier to stay silent and asleep. And yet nothing could be more dangerous. What is it that we need to wake up to today? We continue with the Hasikadish, page 263 and 145.
יתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי, והמליך מלכותי, בחיי חון ובחיי דחול בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ומרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך, יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם, ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ומרו אמן. We rise rise now for our call to prayer, the Baruch Hu, on page 28 or 146. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach, Baruch Adonai Hamevorach, Hamevorach Leolam Vaed, Hamevorach, Hamevorach Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. And this is by Mary Oliver. It's called Dreams. All night, the dark buds of dreams open richly. In the center of every petal is a letter. And you imagine if you could only remember and string them all together, they would spell the answer. It is a long night and not an easy one. You have so many branches, and there are diversions, birds that come and go, the black fox that lies down to sleep beneath you, the moon staring with her bone white eye. Finally, you have spent all the energy you can, and you drag from the ground the muddy skirt of your roots and leap awake with 2 or 3 syllables like water in your mouth, and a sense of loss, a memory, not yet a word, certainly not yet the answer, only how it feels when deep in the tree, all the locks click open and the fire surges through the wood and the blossoms blossom. We continue with Ahavat Olam, page 266 and 148.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shochmeinu u'v'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נהגי יומם ולילה, יומם אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. We continue with the watchword of our God on page 34 and page 152.
Really? Okay. I have a whole other.
You have
set
a
of
whole thing?
numbers.
Never mind, go for it.
There are a lot of different services in here. Anyway, I have 267 and 149. Whatever. Please rise to the
That's
Shema.
it. In either case, let's go for it. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
And you may be seated. And Carolee is going to lead us in the Ve'ahavta, page 268 and 150.
Thanks. Everybody, please join me. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'chol nafshecha u'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha Uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha laman tiskaru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti echem Me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Oh, it's my pleasure.
I might be out of a job soon.
So I mentioned that in Jacob's dream, he sees this ladder with angels going up and down. And of course, there are many explanations for what that's supposed to mean. Here are a few from Rabbi Alan Maller. 1, Jacob's dream is unusual because no interpretation of the dream is given in the Bible. This teaches us that if we want to connect to heaven, the Torah is our ladder, and we have to ascend to heaven by our own efforts, i.e. study of the Torah text. So all of those come to Torah study, you're in good shape.
Yippee!
Number 2, the ladder represents the synagogue service. So all of you are in good shape here, having come to the synagogue service.
2 for 2.
When our prayers are sung, our words ascend to heaven. When the Torah is read, God's inspired words descend to earth. Number 3, the rabbi said the ladder represents Sinai. Moses, Aaron, and 70 of the elders of Israel ascend Sinai and experience God. Before that, God descended on Mount Sinai and was revealed. Only at Sinai does God act first. Now we are like the angels who have to ascend first. So one of the things that people notice is the angels are going up before they come down, which is weird because you expect them to come down first and then go up. Number 4, another interpretation. The Holy One of Israel showed Jacob the giving of the Torah at Sinai and told him, if your descendants observe the Torah, they will ascend. Otherwise, they will decline. Number 4, the ladder symbolizes Israel. When Jewish people are filled with Torah and mitzvot, they rise. When they are filled with self-righteousness and selfishness, they sink. 5, the ladder, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because the numbering got all messed up on my page. So it says 8, but it's really 6. Okay, so number 6, and there were like 15, I only picked a few. The ladder symbolizes Torah study. When the children of Israel all receive a Torah education, advancing step by step and grade by grade, the Jewish people rises. When many of them drop out of higher levels, the Jewish people declines. And finally, number 7, the ladder represents Jacob, according to Rabbi Yanai. Jacob had ups and downs, strengths and failures. Now he learned that flawed as he was, he could still receive God's blessing and be in God's presence, even if he didn't know it at the time. And I'm sure you can come up with many more explanations, but 7 for tonight should suffice. We continue with the Michamocha, page 270 and 152.
Let's all yai together. Yai la 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 ya da da bim bam. Yai la 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 ya ba da bim bam. Ay 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 ya ba da bim bam. Ay 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 ya ba da bim bam. Mi chamocha boilim Adonai. Mi chamocha nedar bakodesh. Norati hilot osefel. Let me hear you. Ya la la ya la da da ya ba da bim bam. Ya la la ya la da da ya ba da bim bam. Ay 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 ya ba da bim bam. Ay 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 ya ba da bim bam. Mahal lechutecha ra'u vanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam ze Eli anu ve'ameru ze Eli anu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed Adonai yimloch leolam v'sayla ya la la ya la la ya ba da bim bam ya la la ya la la ya ba da bim bam ya la ya la la ya ga da bim bam ya la ya la la ya la da bim bam ve'nemar ki fadar Adonai et Yaakov gerlom yad chazak mimenu baruch ata Adonai ga'al Yisrael.
So who are the angels that Jacob is dreaming about? Rabbi Harvey Fields explains, most scholars would define the angels mentioned in the Torah as messengers of God. The Hebrew word for angel is malach, meaning one who carries a message. Belief in angels was quite common among peoples in the ancient Middle East. It was assumed that angels could fly, that they often had wings, that they could walk, talk, appear, and disappear, and that they were the designated agents of the gods. Within Jewish tradition, angels were believed to be slightly superior to human beings and to work as God's agents. For the medieval philosopher Moses Maimonides, angels were forms of intelligence through which God ruled the world. The human mind was such a form of angel. Maimonides taught that if God wished to send a message to a human being, it was sent through the person's mind or intelligence. For him, human minds were containers for God's signals or signs. That is why they were called angels. Angels were a wonderful way in which God spoke to human beings and inspired them with new ideas and visions. Some commentators simply explain that ancient authors accepted the existence of angels. They believed that, like human beings, they could speak, think, and see, and that they could and did influence all aspects of human life. For the ancients who wrote and edited the Torah text, angels were as real as people are for us. Other modern teachers argue that ancient authors used angels as a dramatic way of expressing the inner thoughts of the characters that they were describing. In our Torah portion, the author may have wished to portray Jacob's fear of leaving his homeland for a distant, unknown place. His dream about the stairway stretching from earth to heaven, with angels going up and down, may depict his anxiety about his future. Would his fortunes go up or would they go down? Would he be a success or a failure? And would God help him and protect him from evil? Hashkivenu, page 271 and 153.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom.
Please rise for the tefillah, beginning on page 271 and 153.
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el hagadol hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, gomel chasadim tovim, ve'konei hakol, ve'zocher chastei avot v'imahot, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך חוזר ומשיח ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיח, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מכלכל חיים בחסד, וחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Be seated. Today is page 279 and 161.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael, u'tfilatam be'ahava tikabel.
let's take a moment of silent prayer. Oseh Shalom is page 285 and 167.
Oseh shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen.
We take a moment now to think of those in need of healing, whether of body, of mind, or of spirit. We think of congregants and friends and family of congregants, Jonathan Davidson, Ben Henderson, Kara Gilman, Rabbi Steve Robbins, Gloria Mangus, Steve Lux, Leslie Ferris, Pamela Mangus, Johnny Sikat, Sid Love, Larry Miller, Martha Miller, Jeff Simons, Rabbi Annette Koch, Harav Hana Rachel Bat Rosa Wolf, Kelly Work, Marilyn Whitmer, Abby Sandaha, Deanna Cohen, Regina Richards, Barbara Droutman, Reverend Dr. Tom Bohach, Mark McGuire, Rosalie Anderson, Judy Richmond, Larry Wittek, Fernando Guerrero. Would anyone like to add a name here?
Esther Fagel Basmashi.
I'll look here in the chat. Ruth, Sandra, and Jess Landis, Ron Jones, Patty Podnar, Jane Gailey, Ida Susser, John Kroniski, Mike and Maria Altman, Jory Yarmoth. Oh, sorry, that was just meant for me. Anyway, hi, Jory. Dan and Linda Reef, Mark Edwards. Anyone else? Okay. Please join us in the Misha Berach, the prayer for healing.
Yitzchak veYaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel veLeah Yivarech veYirapeh et hacholim. Mishbeirach Avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel veLeah Yivarech veYirapeh et hacholim. Elna refana la, Elna refana la, Elna refana, Elna refana. Mishbeirach Avotenu Avraham, Yitzchak veYaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel veLeah Yivarech veYirapeh et hacholim.
So given the fact that we have someone tonight with such a beautiful voice, I thought that rather than having me give a Devar Torah or a sermon, I would ask Raymond Zachary to do a sermon in song. So
I'm
Raymond.
very happy. As a synagogue soloist, we're asked so often to sing and come sing and do music, and we don't really get to talk very often. So I have words, I promise. And being that this is my first time in this beautiful, beautiful shul, I knew it was going to be a Shehechianu moment for me. And the Shehechianu is such an important prayer in our text. It marks the first. Very often we use it when we say the first things. And I thought, I'm definitely going to have a Shehechianu moment here tonight because it's my first time on this bima and my first time with this beautiful community. And that got me thinking about the Shehechianu itself. And so we're all taught, in Sunday school that the Shehechianu moments are used to mark special occasions. The first time when we eat a new fruit of the season, at life cycle events, at the beginning of the year, or even on a holiday or festival. However, I think it's very interesting that we call it the Shehechianu, because the entire prayer translates to "Blessed are you, O Lord our God, sovereign of the universe, for creating us, for sustaining us, and for allowing us to reach this moment." And the word Shehechianu in this context only thanks God for creating us. Yet I think it's more appropriate that we thank God for sustaining us and for getting us through. Because, I say, it's for this reason I like to call this the Vikiyamanu instead of the Shehechianu. Because I thank God every morning when I say, Modedet ani lefanecha melachai v'kayam, thanking God for creating me. But this is a completely different blessing. Now, it's a domino effect. One blessing leads to the next. Each Shehechianu moment leading to another. There was once a young girl who grew up on track to become an opera star. She sang at the LA Opera at the age of 9, but was asked to sing on her childhood bima. And that's when it clicked. And the first domino was knocked over. Had she not started singing Jewish music, she never would have gone to the American Jewish University for her undergraduate degree and subsequently never gone to AJR to become an ordained cantor. Had she not become a cantor, she never would have begun officiating life cycle events, and she never would have done a wedding one night where she never would have danced with someone named Chris, and they would have never started their relationship. That man is now her husband, and they said the Shehechianu together under the chuppah this past Pesach, and I was privileged enough to be there via Zoom, and I saw the look in her eyes. And she was thanking God for all of the moments that got her under the chuppah, in addition to the moment itself. And that young girl, for those of you who are wondering, is Cantor Rachel Goldman of Congregation Ner Tamid, who's one of my dear teachers and cantorial mentors. She was thanking God for all of the steps in the journey and all of the dominoes that had to have fallen. A few years ago, I was making cholent like I do every Friday night. It's a family favorite of mine, except this week was a little different. When I had gone to the store to get the ingredients that I needed, they were out of the individual sizes of the bags of beans and lentils that I like to use. And normally the recipe, you can add one or more, a little less, a little more. But in this case, I had to buy both in bulk. And so now fast forward, it's Friday morning, I'm about to make my cholent and everything's going great, except I have to make a triple batch because I don't want to keep all these ingredients on my counter. I don't like the clutter. It's not my thing. So I'm making a triple batch of cholent, and all of a sudden I get a phone call. My dear friend and his 3 children were suddenly left homeless because of a domestic violence issue that had occurred. And they found themselves on the streets with nothing but the clothes on their backs. I turned around and they were at my doorstep, asking for some place to stay and something to eat. His middle son looked up at him with a look that without words just said, "I'm scared, and I don't understand what just happened." And then the father, my dear friend, turned to me and with that same look said he was hungry and he was scared and he did not understand what just happened, with an additional look of please help me feed my children and save me some of the embarrassment and the shame. And then it was my turn to look. So I decided to look inward because we're all created with B'Tselem Elohim, in the image of God. There's a small piece of God implanted deep in each one of us. And so as the son turned to the father and the father turned to me, I turned inward and said, V'ki emanu, for sustaining us and for allowing us to sustain each other. Because had I not needed to buy those beans and lentils in bulk, I would not have been able to offer a sukkot shalom, a shelter of peace to this family that needed just a little more shalom in their Shabbat shalom that week. Now there's another type of sustenance that we can think of and we can thank God for during this bracha, and that is the proactive sustenance for the journey that's about to come. We often say this blessing at major life cycle events, not just the Jewish ones, but it's also said, at B'nai Mitzvahs and under the chuppah and even on Rosh Hashanah. But it's also said at graduations or job promotions or the first night on a bima and at other really great moments in life. And it's at moments like these where we need to thank God for the sustenance that will be granted in the next chapter as we go on this journey, the next domino that will fall. There's always an incredible amount of stress and fear with not knowing what lies ahead, whether that's what school you'll be attending after graduation, whether it's what synagogue awaits you after you become ordained, or if the people in the next cubicle over at the new job will like you at the water cooler. It's these moments that we need to take a step back, take a deep breath, just for a second, before we dive into whatever comes next, the next domino that will fall. So I urge you this week to seek out not only the Shehechianu moments, but the V'ki emanu moments. See how many times you can find yourself in a situation that is a potential domino to fall, or if one has just fallen. And I realize there's definitely a plan for everyone. And I want you to use this prayer. I urge you to use this blessing as a benchmark to go from one to the next. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. And I'd now like to present you for my Shehechianu moment this evening with one of my favorite arrangements of the Shehechianu by Cantor Ralph Schlossberg. Baruch
Okay, just take a moment to take that in. You can clap. Go ahead. Go ahead. Occasionally, it's okay to clap. And we've gotten some very lovely comments in the
Thank you.
Zoom, which I will try to copy. Okay, announcements from the sublime to the, not ridiculous, but not so sublime. Next week, actually, we have another guest. It won't be someone with a voice like yours, but Assembly Member Jose Medina is going to be coming to speak. He's our representative in the Assembly of California. And as you may know, he authored a bill, the Ethnic Studies Bill, that has been somewhat controversial. The bill itself is just saying there should be ethnic studies taught in high school. But concurrently with the bill, there was a development of a curriculum that, the first two versions were tossed out. But that's what caused the controversy, really, was the curriculum, not the, idea of having ethnic studies. So anyway, he tried to get it passed last year. It was vetoed by the governor last year. And this year, the governor signed it about a month ago or so. So he's going to talk about the bill, which is he considers this to be his legacy. So that should be an interesting conversation. We have Torah study tomorrow morning on Zoom. And we have a whole bunch of stuff coming up in adult ed, which you can take a look at in our weekly emails and all of that. Carolee, I know you want to say something. I have to give you a microphone because otherwise the people on Zoom will not be able to hear you.
Thanks. Thank you, Cantor Zachary. That was phenomenal, just phenomenal. And I'm sorry to be so mundane after this beautiful, beautiful cantorial. I don't even know what to call it. It was so gorgeous. But I'll be mundane. The youth group, the junior youth group is having their Hanukkah dinner with the charities that we normally give to. We give to Lori Rich, giving it to the streets. We give to kids. We make boxes and give them to kids in hospitals. We've in the past given money to a foster family, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm here kind of begging money that if anybody wants to donate to the youth group for our Hanukkah charities, we have a party, but we don't give each other presents. We give the money that we would give to each other for presents, we give to the kids. So anybody who wants to donate, you can give us cash if you want, but it's Friday night, or you can go and ask Andrea in the office. There's a PayPal or something with this. Andrea did something at the end of the
On our website.
Oh, that's it, on our website. And so you can ask her and you could donate there too. And the rabbi has already been very generous and donated stuff and money to this. So we really appreciate everybody. And it's the party and everything is December 5th, last day of Hanukkah. So thank you all. And thank you again. Oh, it was like being in an opera. It was wonderful.
Yeah, you can just go directly to the website. You don't have to talk to Andrea. Just go to the website, click on donate.
Yeah.
And I think there's a drop-down menu that gives you various options of, where you can also write a check and send it in. Junior youth group, yes, junior. The seniors can join in if they want, but it's the junior youth group that's
But
organizing.
it's for the kids.
Oh, yes.
You gotta really get that one in there. It's for the kids.
Are there any other announcements from anybody, either here or on Zoom? Anybody on Zoom have anything they want to announce? I guess not. The silence.
Such a quiet peanut gallery. Look at that.
Well, we tell them to mute themselves all the time, so they've kind of gotten the message. I would like to thank Raymond Zachary and Sergio Leyva for gorgeous music this evening. There were some beautiful comments on the chat and here as well, of course. And I want to thank Jory, who has been running our tech tonight and who also, and Jordan, my husband, is learning. Yeah, there's Jory waving. And Jordan is learning tonight, so he'll be able to do this eventually. Jory is also training young people. And of course, the young people are so good at this already that they picked it up, like Shia Young and Asher Winston. You know, after about 15 minutes, they already knew how to do the whole thing. So they're also doing some tech. And Christine Liepman is learning how to do it. And anyone else who wants to learn can learn because it's lots of fun. Okay, the prices are going to come up here and open the ark for the Aleinu. It's on the inside cover of your prayer books, whether you have a fat or a thin one, because otherwise it's too complicated to go from paragraph number 2 to paragraph number 1 to, anyway, and please rise.
Just pull the ark open. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושבי קרוב בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו עשה זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשיבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
So yesterday was Veterans Day, as you all know. And so I would like to mention the names of servicemen, Jewish servicemen who lost their lives in the last year. And this is thank you to Mike Goldware for the list. Specialist Daniel J. Agami, Sergeant Howard P. Allen, First Lieutenant David R. Bernstein, Corporal Albert Bitton, Sergeant Aaron C. Bloom, Petty Officer Second Class Michael Brodsky, Petty Officer Third Class Nathan Bruckenthal, Technical Sergeant Anthony L. Capra, Sergeant First Class Christopher A. Celis, Corporal Ryan J. Clark, Corporal Michael R. Cohen, Second Lieutenant Seth J. Devoren, Lance Corporal Mark E. Engel, Corporal Mark A. Evnen, Private First Class Aaron E. Fairbairn, First Lieutenant Daniel Farkas, Sergeant Zachary M. Fisher, Sergeant Jacob S. Fletcher, Specialist Daniel J. Freeman, Specialist Douglas Green, Sergeant Foster L. Harrington, Airman First Class Elizabeth Jacobson, Lance Corporal Jeremy M. Kane, Petty Officer Second Class SEAL Matthew G. Cantor, First Lieutenant Nathan M. Krisoff, Staff Sergeant James L. Malakowski, Private First Class Gebra P. Noonan, Specialist Levy E. Nuncio, Corporal Michael Oremus, Staff Sergeant Robert J. Paul, Major Mark E. Rosenberg, Corporal Dustin H. Schrag, First Lieutenant Rosalind L. Schulte, Captain Joseph W. Schultz, Captain Robert M. Secker, Specialist Mark S. Seiden, Airman First Class Matthew R. Seidler, Staff Sergeant Michael B. Shackelford, Private First Class Stephen Shapiro, Sergeant Alan D. Sherman, Chief Warrant Officer 2 Joshua Silverman, Captain Benjamin A. Sclaver, Chief Warrant Officer 3 Eric A. Smith, Private First Class Eric D. Suffren, First Lieutenant Andrew K. Stern, Captain Michael Y. Tarlavsky, Staff Sergeant Peter W. Taub, Private First Class Morris L. Walker, Specialist Glenn J. Watkins, Technical Sergeant Timothy R. Weiner, Sergeant Robert M. Weinger, Specialist Jeffrey M. Wershaw, Private First Class Colin J. Wolf, Major Stuart A. Wolfer, Sergeant Elijah Tai Wong, Specialist Benjamin Ben Yehuda, Senior Airman Jonathan A. V. Yelfner. And these are the Jewish casualties of operations from Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, New Dawn, and Freedom Sentinel as of May 2021. We appreciate their service and the service of all those who served in our armed forces. Is anyone here observing Shiva Shloshim or the first year of mourning and would like to mention a name? Anybody on Zoom in the first 30 days or first year of mourning? We're observing yard sites as well this Shabbat for Dick Richards, Victoria Richards, Alan Falk, Arthur Rosenbaum, Henry Artigue, Eva Cruz, Fanny Fenster, Tony Lane, David Elkin, Gussie Quasman, Walter Grau, Eric Glucksman, Debbie H. Hoffman, Rose B. Rogers, Morris Lieb Resnick, Harry Calvert, Louis J. Margolin. Anyone else observing a yard site? Heshi Glick, Zena Stein Susser, Stan Walkman, first year, Gail Grossman. Please join us in the Mourner's Cottage. And if you would like to unmute, you are free to do so. It's page 598 and 294, thank you. And please rise as we also remember those who perished in the Holocaust and do not have anyone to say the Mourner's Cottage for them. Yikadal v'kadash rabba. Ve'alma difrach yirachei v'yamlichon v'chayechon yomechon hayedechol Beit Yisrael v'agala u'vizman karim. Me'ei shmei rabba me'barach ve'olam u'mei amaya. Yitbarach ar v'tomam dar v'talei v'halal shmei dekudusha Ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata v'amiran ve'alma. Amen. Hey Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya Hayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Amen. Aseh Shalom B'Shalom Kuya Aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael. Amen. source of peace and peace to all who mourn, and comfort to all who are bereaved, as together we say,
Amen.
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 Our closing song is Shalom Aleichem. And now I don't have the page number, so
Now it's on page 24 in the skinny books, and in the heavier weight books, it's page 142.
thank you. Too many pages on my Bima.
Join with me. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we thank God for bread from the earth by saying, a la plastic. Around, I'm having flashbacks, no? Anybody call me direct? No. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat shalom. Good Shabbos, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for being with us.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shalom.